Thank you so much.
All right, sweet. Daniel, I'll kick it over to you to introduce Sherjan, and then who's our next speaker today. And then after Sherjan's session, we'll have a quick 15-minute break, get some more coffee, get some food if you want. And then for all the teams who start at 12, be ready to start at 12. That's the one last announcement I have before Sherjan starts. Thank you.
All right, very excited for this speaker as well. Sherjan is your personal mentor for all things career and life. He's worked previously at Morgan Stanley and Google, and he has a website, sherjan.com, which has courses and mentoring options for students, undergrad and graduate. So we're going to hear a little bit from him today about his website and also about virtual presentation skills. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it. Hey guys, my name is Sherjan. So thanks for joining today. I'm really excited to have you guys here and do this case competition. So I've been given the topic to kind of give you guys a little bit of guidance on what to do in terms of online presentations and even, the skills that you should kind of be aware of. We're all used to presenting in an offline format. And this might be the first time you guys will be presenting in an online format. And I think the skills here that you'll learn will actually be helpful to you guys as you interview, as Ishita mentioned in your next interviews and stuff that are going to happen. So what I've done here is I've actually written a few things that I think I want to discuss with you and give you some highlights and some tips that are going to help you and hopefully help you stand out from the rest of the teams. And I hope this helps you in your career and your journey. So the first thing, just a quick background by myself. I'm not from the consulting side of the world. I joined the other side, the other dark side called investment banking. So I was an analyst, an associate, and a VP at Morgan Stanley. Did tech investment banking with them in Menlo Park, and then also worked in Hong Kong for Morgan Stanley as well. And I worked at Google, which was not in their engineering side. Wasn't smart enough to get that, so I actually joined their investment team called Capital G, through which I helped them invest in startups. So, but having said that, I think as you be part of these industries from accounting, banking, consulting, any of these industries, presentation skills and communication skills are going to be the most important things. Like Ishita mentioned, she has to convince people that are twice her age on ideas that might be new and foreign to them. So knowing how to communicate well and how to convince someone and incept ideas is going to be super important. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is as you take part in this case or even an interview in the future, think about the other side. Who's behind the computer screen? So the person who is judging you or who's interviewing you. A lot of times we think about our style and how we need to kind of present, but we don't think about what the other person is actually seeing. So in this situation, what I want you to understand is I'm one of the judges. There's a few more judges who are going to be watching you guys, and it's not going to be all the other people. So start thinking from our perspective, what do we see? So the first thing on that is think about your environment. So if you look at your environment, I'm just looking at the folks that are in this conference call, and I'm just going to pick on a few people. So Chris is definitely sitting in front of his bed, right? And and it's maybe not the best look, but if you look at, for example, Ishita, she had a pretty nice formal background, and maybe Sid's background is good too, and Daniel's background good too. And sorry for picking on you guys, but just having the environment's important. I've told my mom to not walk in while I'm doing this. I'm making sure things are kept clean and PG-13. So that's the important part. Make sure your environment's good. And you don't want to have any distractions because, winning these moments like these case studies or winning interviews, you only get one shot, right? And you don't want to take that chance where something comes and interferes. So I have all my devices that I have here. They're all on airplane mode, so nothing can, hopefully distract me. So that's the first thing. So look around before you guys do your case study. Make sure your environment's good and calm and clean without any distractions. At the same time, and this is something probably you guys can change, but just to give you an idea of what can make a difference as you do more and more of these online presentations and interviews in the future, get your setup to be world class. And it might take a little bit of investment on your part, but just to give you an idea from me, I have a massive lens and a light setup and a microphone. So I'm using a proper microphone for this. So there's no chance of getting a bad quality image. And if I switch to, for example, a regular image from my basic laptop here, you'll see that, unless I crash my computer. So you'll see that I go to a totally different, style. So point is there's things like that that you can do to just make your setup look better and feel better and it'll show the high quality of, you're taking the job or the interview seriously. All right, so next up, it's very, we're used to looking at ourselves in the computer screen, in our camera, in our own image that's mirrored back to us. But the key thing when you're doing these interviews is stop looking at yourself, start looking into the lens that's itself. So here, if you look at it, if I look at the monitor, I'm going to actually look like this, and it doesn't look like you're actually making eye contact with the other person. So again, keeping the other person in mind. But if I look up into the lens, now I'm making good eye contact with the person, and I'm not being distracted by my own image and what's on the computer screen. So as you do more of these presentations, make sure, and I would even take a sticky note, a Post-it note, and put it right next to the lens and say, look here. Just right on it says, look here. It'll keep on reminding you to look in the lens, and hopefully keep you focused on that, and keep you away from any distractions that come up on the screen, or the person kind of moving their hands or anything like that. All right, so next up is concise. When you have someone who is meeting you for the first time, like for example, us judges, or someone who's interviewing you, they don't know anything about you. So when you go on super long rants and talk about things that are relevant, but they're just long form way of talking about the same thing, it basically, people lose interest pretty quickly. And in today's world, everybody has a super short attention span, unfortunately. So what I want you to do is make your statements or comments or whatever you do, make it concise, right? Don't go on super lengthy rants, just make it concise, and it's going to help the other person, again, thinking from the other person's side, help it grab it, and it'll make it easy for us, the judges or the people who are interviewing you, to write down, good notes and, take the highlights from your presentation better versus super long answers. All right, so the next one is speak slowly, right? Again, back to the whole point about you're meeting someone for the first time, and there's a lot of information for us that's coming through the screen that we're, learning about you, learning about your project, learning about the cool things that you've done. Speaking slowly is going to allow me as a judge to understand those things better, grasp them better. And speaking slowly for yourself is going to help you formulate, those answers better. It'll help you, give you time to think and, say things slowly, and hopefully not stutter and not get stressed about it. So it basically eases you down, calms you down as well when you speak slowly. Next up is, if you have any resources that you're sharing with us, right? So I'm sure you guys have a slide deck that you've created. Maybe in an interview, you'll have some sort of materials that you'll be sharing with the person who's interviewing you. Make sure to guide the person through it. It's very easy to just put something on the screen and say, hey, here's our results, here's our data, here's what we did. But actually, if you guide them through it, meaning point and kind of show them, hey, if you look on the top left of the slide, or if you look at this chart and look at the green line, so really be specific about what you're talking about, because you can't really point to it in a way physical interviews can happen or do. In this situation, you're relying on technology. So use the mouse as much as you can, really try to direct the person's eye towards what you're talking about, and it helps us, figure out what you're actually looking at. On the guidance part also is the part of structure. So when there's a slide, let's just say you put up, it's very easy to start a slide and just keep on rambling about it and talking about it. I think one of the better ways to describe a slide is actually to structure what you're going to say. What I mean by structure is this. So let's say there's a slide that talks about revenue growth, right? Instead of just saying, hey, our revenue increased because of these reasons, and then we did this, and we did this, and we did this, like you keep on going. I can't, as a judge, grasp what you guys did. Instead, if you guys do something like this, hey, judges, there are 3 things that we did with regards to revenue. Now, as a judge, I know I'm supposed to get 3 things from you. So that's called structuring an answer. And I would highly recommend any topic that you bring up, any slide that you talk about, try to structure it so that me as a judge or someone who's interviewing you can actually, write those highlights down on my, review sheet, and put all the details that I hear from you in that. All right, so second last piece, and this one I think is important, is confidence. So, this is probably one of your first few cases and case competitions you guys are doing, and you'll probably do 100 more. And there's a certain level of stress, there's a certain level of fear of losing. I don't want you to have that. Look, I'm sitting here as a judge after losing many case competitions, right? So, worst situation, if you fail in this case competition, you'll end up like me. So it's not that bad in my opinion. So your career trajectory, any of that stuff is not gonna be impacted if you lose this case competition. And the important thing is just do your best. right? Bring that, stress level down. And I think the stress also comes from the fact that you feel like, hey, there's like 60 people watching me, and what's going to happen? The truth is, like, all of these people, so I'm looking at some of the names here. So let's say I'm just going to pick Jennifer Liu or Zachary or Ahalia. I'm not going to, after this case is over, I'm not going to go home and talk to my friends about you guys, right? Like, all the information that you guys gave me today is just going to be just today. And after that, it won't matter what you guys say. So don't think that this is going to linger on for the rest of your life. This is just going to be a data point in a million data points of your career. And this is just one of them. So do your best, try your best to, be your best and have confidence in just yourself. Meaning, and when I say yourself, yourself and the team, the idea there is like, you guys are pretty lucky. You guys are invited to this thing. And there's a million other kids who aren't. So already you're very lucky. Just do your best and everything else will be fine. Finally, and this is the most important part, and I think like in any sort of business, from case competitions to applying for jobs, these are all human businesses. So you'll be interacting with other humans throughout your life. And the best way to connect and convince another human is to smile. So make sure all of you smile during your presentation, right? Make sure you show that, you're a happy, energetic, excited, enthusiastic person. So make sure, and this is the other sticky note you should put on your computer screen instead of in addition to the pointer towards the camera, it should be just smile. So smiling will make everything easy, and it'll make you feel better as well. And it'll, ease you down, calm you down as well. And people will love hearing from someone who is smiling versus someone who kind of looks like Batman. All right, cool. So that's kind of the high level topics and tips that I had for you guys. Would love to answer any questions people have regarding this or anything else that you guys have on your mind.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherjan. That was great. And specifically like right before the presentation start in the next like 20 or 30 minutes or so, perfect timing for that. So I hope some of you guys can take this advice to heart and put that little sticky note next to your camera. But yeah, feel free again to throw your questions in the chat, come off mute, whatever you're most comfortable with, and we'll let Sherjan answer.
And I'll just like do a little short plug as well. So as you guys prepare for interviews and train for recruiting, I've talked to the team here and the team that wins. So I have a course that 20,000 students have taken. It's related to breaking into these industries like consulting, banking, and accounting. If you guys are interested in it, the team that wins will get $200 off of the course. The second place will get $150 off, and everybody else will get $100 off. So, check out sherjan.com. You'll see more information, and we'll spread more information out to you guys after the case competition's over.
Awesome. Seems like a great opportunity for everyone to take advantage of, especially as the recruiting season kind of ramps up here. And of course, over the next couple of years as well, for anyone who's like class of 23 or 24, just starting out in their college experience. I'm sure this can be handy as you try to figure out what you want to do in your life moving forward.
If people don't have questions on presentation skills, happy to answer anything else related to recruiting or anything else as we wait until, I guess, is noon the next time, guys?
Yep. So at noon, so basically around noon is like when we're starting our first set of presentations. So that'll just be 2 teams who are starting at noon. Everyone else will get a little bit more of a break until whenever their time slot is. So yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. Just as we're all mentioning, the recruiting atmosphere is very much so changed with COVID. And you gave a lot of great advice for how to present yourself virtually. And I think that'll be very helpful for recruiting. But do you have any advice for virtual networking or virtual recruiting?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think, networking is something that I always tell people, the best day to network was yesterday. So, it is very important to start meeting people and connecting with them. Doesn't matter if it's a pandemic or not. So even if recruiting is currently head on and maybe some of it has already passed, I would still, network, because this is a lifelong business of people, right? Any industry, any company you'll join, you'll need people in your corner. And all of you that I can see from this thing, from the early survey we did, you guys are all very young. You have a whole life ahead of you. So start networking. First thing is, today. And how to network. So look, I network as well to this date. When I was, any job that I've gotten, for example, when I was an analyst, even associate VP, even when I got my job at Google, it was all through networking and through reaching out to people who were way out of my network. So just for folks who are listening here, like I was an engineer undergrad. I studied aerospace engineering, and I was a pretty shitty engineer, to be honest with you. I wasn't a good one. So my GPA was 3.0. So someone like that doesn't really belong in Morgan Stanley's investment banking and Google's of the world. But, one of the things that I was good at was connecting with people and reaching out to them. And my super weapon was always cold email, right? Cold email, or emails to say the least, is kind of like knowing someone's phone number, right? Everybody has an email, and it's not hard to guess someone's email. It's like first.last@bcg.com or whatever. There's a couple of conventions. And if you guys are in some school, I'm sure a lot of you are at Penn and some other schools, you're all part of the lucky few, students in the world who are, who are invited to this thing. So all of you are at some school, and you have an alumni directory that you have access to. So in my opinion, one of the, the gold mines that people don't dig enough in are the alumni directories. So my recommendation to you would be, right after this case competition, go and get access to that alumni directory and start emailing everybody who, is remotely even, in the field of consulting. And reach out to them, short notes, introducing yourself, who you are, and being honest about it. Be like, hey, look, I am Jenny. I'm, a sophomore at Wharton studying this and this. Would love to get connected to, see if there's interview processes that are going on. And would love to put my name in the hat or get on a 10-minute Zoom chat with you, any of those situations. And the truth is you'll, get into 100 inboxes and 99 of them will not reply to you, because these are just tough industries to get into, right? But then, the secret weapon beyond that first weapon is you have to send a second email. And that second email shows that you're actually interested and you're not just bulk emailing everybody. So that would be my best tip. And I tell people that, and I've used that not only for recruiting, but even for investing myself. When I was investing from Google into startups, I would, email the CEOs of startups and say, hey, look, here's who I am. Would love to get on a chat with you. And then later on, when I had my own startup and I was trying to fundraise, that's exactly how I did. I would just cold email all the top venture capitalists and say, hey, look, here's what I'm building. We'll have to get connected. So networking is something you will need to, you'll just need for the rest of your life. And email is kind of your best tip. And the last piece I'll say is stay away from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is good for researching someone and finding out who they are and what they've done. It's not good for messaging someone. The only reason is a lot of the people that are in the professional world actually just ignore LinkedIn in terms of the messaging piece of it. They find it to be very noisy, and there's a lot of notifications and stuff with the platform. But it's a great place to research someone and their background before you email them. So don't just say, hey, I've sent 100 LinkedIn messages and nobody replied to me. It's just not effective, and there's a lot of friction to checking that message versus email, which is checked by professionals almost every morning.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your response. So we are going to take a 10-minute break and reconvene around noon. If anyone has any more questions, I think Sherjan will be around and probably more than happy to respond.
Sure.
So again, to reiterate, the group 1 and group 2 rooms are linked in the chat. I will send the link again. And please make sure to come to your presentation at the assigned time. And in the meantime, until noon, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out in the chat or let one of us know. But thank you, Sherjan, for your time again. We appreciate it, and best of luck with your presentations, everyone.
So Daniel, should I just answer some of the questions here is fine?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. So Adam had a question regarding the setup, the digital setup and the camera and all that stuff. So I guess one of the issues is you can get feedback from your microphone, and feedback is just noise coming into the microphone from your speakers. My only recommendation is actually when you invest in a good microphone, they actually have directions built into it. So I'll just show you guys an example here. So in this microphone, there's options in the back which allows it to only capture sound from one side. Now, obviously for you guys, I think a microphone would be an overkill. Camera is not. Camera is better than, camera is a better investment than a microphone investment, because most of the microphones on the newest MacBooks are pretty studio quality, to be honest with you. I have this microphone only because I do a lot of podcasts and things like that and recording. But for you guys, microphone shouldn't be too much of an issue. And if you're getting that feedback, I would just lower the volume a little bit to fix that. So another question is from Felix. I'm wondering if you have any tips on providing value as a student to larger companies. I don't have anything specific personally, but I think the most valuable thing you can do, when I'm just thinking about what I would do, is if you're, when you say a larger company, it's just harder to provide value other than just someone who is just willing to learn and be enthusiastic in a role. When you're junior, you just don't know much, right? You're just, starting your career and you have very limited knowledge, and especially, knowledge in terms of what the work is like and what the actual job is going to be. So nobody actually can say, hey, Jimmy, come on in. I think you can definitely add value to my team. But what you can do is you can bring good energy and enthusiasm and that willingness to learn, right? And when you do that, it basically allows someone who's a senior person in that firm to be like, okay, I got this mentee of mine who's joined, or like a Padawan learner, right, or protege. And that is a great way to kind of, shadow someone in an organization and ask them to teach you. And people love, especially a lot of people in these organizations love having someone that they can teach and grow over the years. So my recommendation would be, if let's just say you're looking for something like that and you're like, hey, what value can I bring? It's going to be hard to say this is what I can bring, but it's going to be easy if you can connect with someone personally and say, hey, look, I just want to learn, and I can be, a protege of yours, a sidekick of yours, and happy to do anything from bringing up the coffee to printing books to doing research, and just like, being a fly on the wall and just listening into what you're doing on a daily basis. And if you guys are interested, it's harder to do that in a large format firm. So for example, like a McKinsey or a Goldman, because they have very structured, hiring processes. It's much easier to do something like that at startups. So if you are looking for internships and let's say, you couldn't get your, dream internship, there's literally thousands of startups out there who have, young CEOs and founders who are always looking for, help and talent. I would just shoot them a note, shoot them a cold email, and show your passion for their product and what they're working on. And hopefully you can, get in one of those spots.
Thank you, Sherjan. I'm actually going to go start the Group 2 Zoom room now. For anyone who's in Group 2 and has their 12 o'clock presentation, feel free to hop in there anytime within the next 5 minutes or so. But thanks, and I will see you towards the end of the day.
Awesome.
Yep. So if we can get the teams who are not presenting to just drop off the call. Thank you guys for listening to Welcome, and we're looking forward to hearing your presentations later today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Sid, Chris, or me, and let one of us know. Good luck, guys.